Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kristen. This is John, our town administrator, and we are going to talk about the town board council meeting of August 9th and what it means for our town. So the first thing on the agenda apparently was Alf Hancock got a promotion. For the people that don't know him, can you tell me how long has he been an officer with us?
Alf has been 3 years. He had started 3 years ago. He was a reserve officer to begin with, and I believe his full-time start date was in February. So he's coming up on 3 years full-time.
Good, great. So that'll increase his responsibilities and duties, of course, and that's a plus for our town. The second thing we wanted to talk about was the $10,000 grant for body cams.
Absolutely.
Yes, tell us some.
Yeah, that's an exciting one. We were made aware of a grant opportunity through the Oklahoma, it's OMAG, Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group.
Mm-hmm.
That is essentially our insurance that covers our buildings and basically our liability.
Mm-hmm.
But they offer a $10,000 body camera grant.
Okay.
And we applied for it back in November, December. Through some organizational changes, our previous chief retired and we had a new one come on. We kind of got pushed off till the next funding year.
Mm-hmm.
So we got awarded this grant last month and we're in the process of purchasing the body cameras.
How many will that allow for?
Roughly 10.
Wow.
It'll be enough that every reserve officer and every full-time officer has a body camera.
That's great.
Which it's a real important tool, not only for the protection of the police officer, but the protection of the public.
Exactly.
It's a undeniable witness to the events that unfold and can really help. It can really help de-escalate situations as well.
Accountability on both sides.
Yes, absolutely, and it's something that having a partner and working with the partners at OMAG to be able to purchase these items, it's really, really good. We wouldn't have been able to do it without their assistance.
Right. And then there was the radio grant. Who was that with, and how many radios did that purchase for us?
I believe it'll give us 10 radios. I've had to double check those numbers exact, but that is through the Oklahoma Department of Homeland Security.
Okay.
Our emergency manager, Lisa Robinson, was working with them, and she was able to secure funding for those radios, which they're 150 megahertz radios. It's the radio band that fire and emergency management operates on. So that'll be a great tool. Our fire department is a volunteer fire department, along with emergency management. They don't have a lot of funding there that can be spread around.
Right.
So sometimes the equipment is used absolutely to its max. So in order to be able to get funding for that, I mean, it's about $3,500, I think, worth of radios there.
Wow.
So that's a big deal as well.
Right. How old was the equipment they were using before, and was it pretty limited?
Oh boy. Yeah, and not so. Probably anywhere between 10 years and up.
Yeah.
And getting these radios will ensure that we're able to give all the volunteers the radio. Everybody will have the radio for when they need it. So
seconds count.
Seconds count.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And the next thing that was on the agenda was we were talking about saving on payment processing contracts for the town people.
Yeah.
Does this also add new options that they did not previously have?
Yeah, and I could touch a little bit on the whole the acceptance of cash, because this kind of ties into that. When I started here, I'd come in and I was right when the audit came back from the previous year. And one thing I look at, I don't like to fail certain areas. And our audit, we continually were getting kind of gigged on non-separation of duties. One person would take cash and they would also reconcile that same amount of cash. Well, not that anybody was doing anything wrong, that's just an audit failure point. So I proposed that we cease taking cash until we were able to correct those measures and have actually separation of duties. In February, I took over as the court clerk. So the court clerk and the treasurer position at that point became separated. And we instituted a cash handling policy that we've been working on since then. which allows us to start taking cash again if there's more than 2 people present. So that there's,
That's good.
protections there.
Right.
Another part of that was to identify that we must implement, taking cards. So at that point we did Square, which Square is an easy, quick fix. Unfortunately, it's a 4%, service charge. And we have to be able to pass that on. We can't absorb that, and it's within state law that a municipality can pass that charge on. So we found a company called GovPayNet, and they specialize in government payment processing. It'll also allow that you'll be able to pay your water bill 24 hours a day online and 24 hours a day via phone call. But it reduces the charge from 4% to 2.65. So on utility bills. So every little bit counts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, zero,
Right.
but it's heading in the right direction there.
Right.
And again, we've also opened back up. We will accept cash if there's more than 2 people on site to verify the payment.
And I think that's really important because not, like you said on the police cam thing, it's not just for the town. It's not just to protect you guys. It's to protect the other person that's paying the money.
Yes.
So they can say, I did pay the money, and you say, I know, and this person says,
Yes.
I know also. So
Yeah,
it's accountability.
it's accountability.
Yeah.
We have a policy that states, there's sign-off measures, and
Right.
when I take cash, somebody else is reconciling that's been, and then when it goes to the bank, it comes back when we verify the amount. So it really just protects everybody. I mean, it was a growing pain that was kind of uncomfortable there for a period of time, but I think we're heading back in the right direction there.
Yeah. Oklahoma Rural Water Association study. How long of a study this is, and
6 to
what is
8.
it going to involve?
6 to 8 months is the study period. So the Oklahoma Rural Water Association is basically, they work with small water supplies and rural water supplies rural water associations throughout the state. We've been a member of them for many years. This long-range sustainability study, basically they will come in, and the first step of this is a hydraulic study. We'll have to contract with an engineer that will come in, and they will map out all of our water lines, the capacity of them, and basically give an engineered overview of the water system.
Okay.
The long-range sustainability study, they will come in and take that information, and then they will help us identify savings plans so that we can be prepared for the growth in the future, hazard mitigation plans so that if we have, how can we mitigate damages beforehand, emergency response plan. Also will help us identify funding mechanisms so that we can actually fund these projects and repairs in the future. It'll also review our rate structure to make sure that our rate structure and any increases are planned out basically systematically, so that we don't just have an emergency and then say, hey, we got to put on $2 extra a month to cover the emergency. We got to make sure that those rates are structured so that we have the money in the bank to cover those emergencies.
Right.
And then lost my train of thought on that. But it's a great study. Basically, it's laying out plans for the future growth. We're poised to grow. I mean, it's going to happen. Probably the next 5 years, things will look a lot different around here. And that's just because of eastward expansion of Oklahoma City, Edmond, and the surrounding areas. The turnpike's going to be opening up here this fall, I believe, this winter. And that's going to make our area that much more accessible to the population of Midwest City, southeast Oklahoma City, and our ad valorem rates out here are cheaper, so therefore growth is going to come. So we really need to start doing these long-term plans to try to figure out how we're going to manage.
We don't want to stagnate.
No, we do not.
We're going to open growth.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about that. As far as the study goes, what can the citizens of the town be looking for? Like, will they be having to come on their property and do anything?
I am not real sure on. So we will be accessing some of the water lines, because we're going to have to dig some up, because our water system's pushed in some areas over 100 years old.
Oh my.
Yeah, so we don't have a lot of real good data on some of the line sizes. So as we do this hydraulic study, the engineer may come out and take samples or dig down and examine a line. But we'll make sure we put that out and notify the customers if there's going to be any disruption of service or anything like that. I do not foresee any disruption in service.
Okay, that's great.
Oh, I remember what that caveat was. The long range study also will do a water loss audit, which basically says when we produce, let's just use round numbers, 1 million gallons and we only sell 100,000 gallons, where is that loss going from? Is it dripping out of a line somewhere and down into a rock formation? Is it somebody tapping in? You know, because that's real big on cost savings. Because that water that's produced has an actual dollar figure to it, because you put chemicals in it, labor, everything like that. And then that water loss audit will help us recover some money.
Great. Okay, this one I'm pretty excited about because I love beautifying our town.
Awesome.
The Keep Oklahoma Beautiful Fresh Paint Days is coming back.
Yeah.
Now, the building you're talking about, is this the site of Hammer PC? What is currently Hammer PC? The old feed store?
Yes, it's the old feed store. Ed White is the owner of that building, I believe, and it houses Hammer's PC.
Okay.
And that building has a storied past. You know, it's one of the oldest buildings, freestanding buildings here in town. Surprisingly in phenomenal shape, like structurally wise. It just needs a little bit of a fresh paint.
I'd kind of be curious to see what the old advertisement used to be on the side.
I would too, and I don't know how, you know, we could research that or find out.
Somebody have an old picture, find it.
Yeah, that would be great. Any old pictures, and in fact, any old pictures of that building would be great as we kind of put out there for this program. This is a volunteer program, so we're going to need volunteers to come help paint. We were the most improved project last year. We won $1,000 to move toward the next project. So we will have a little funding to advertise this and for a little extra funding for supplies, but we will need everybody to get on board and help out. So I should have some information coming out in the next couple of weeks on when, where, what you can do to help. But it's going to make a huge visual impact. In this project, at the end of the last year's project, which was the American Legion building, the volunteers that were there sat around and we talked about what project should we apply for next year, and that building was discussed as the next project to apply for. So when that opened up last month, I took the measurements, sent pictures in, and we were awarded this last week. That project.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
It's going to be a lot of paint. It's a little bigger than the last one, but I can just think though, pulling around that corner, you know, looking at that building, it's just going to pop. It's going to have a huge impact on downtown, and hopefully it's contagious, and we just knock one after another out after another.
I'd like to see the town covered in murals and paint, fresh paint.
I am going to probably go and talk to our friend Dr. Bob Palmer and see if he wants to help out with this. I have an inkling that he
love you.
We love you, Dr. Palmer.
I would love to see him involved. I know a lot of, and I speak for many in Wellston, we love his artwork. We're so happy to have him stay with us here in Wellston forever, how long he wants to stay. Blessed. But anyway, moving on, I wanted to kind of open the floor up to whatever you want to talk about as far as this meeting or what you want your citizens, the citizens of Wellston, to know, anything that they may not know or not realize about the whole process, or whatever you want to speak about.
Absolutely. You know, Wellston, we have an amazing population here. We have wonderful residents. We have so much opportunity in this community. One thing we have to do, though, is we have to come together and we have to work together. Understand that the government here works for you. It's your government. Our doors are open Monday through Friday. You can come in if you have questions about anything. If it's not something that I have readily available, I'll do the research and find it for you. Your board meetings, they're your board meetings. If you ever want to come to them, they're open. They're open for anybody to come to. Just because that doesn't mean that everything that you can bring to me must be put on the agenda, because a lot of things can be worked out here while we're here during the week. The board meetings are for your board of trustees to basically work through the month's previous business. But we get a lot of good things done out of them, and you're always welcome to come to them. Working together is key. I mean, it really is. We just have to work together in positive growth and positive moving forward. Help out your neighbors if you can, and I'm here for the community. That's pretty much all I have. This last board meeting, kind of go over anything. On the public works side, we did talk about REAP grants and CBDG grants. These are in the planning stage right now. So those are going to be waterworks or wastewater utility projects, and the CBDG, we're trying to identify, will we apply for a replacement of existing infrastructure or kind of expand our infrastructure, and we're doing research on that.
Okay.
But other than that, you know, it's kind of business as usual, moving forward, and constantly looking for opportunities available to the community.
Well, thank you for your time.
No problem, thank you.
We appreciate the information and your willingness to serve in this community. And I hope to continue these discussions with you every board meeting.
Hey, I look forward to it. Like I said, we're open. Anything that we can give you the answers to.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
8 to 5.
Yeah, we're here 8 to 5.
Okay.
I'm here usually 8:30 to like 7:30.
He's here all the time.
And you can knock on the door. Utilities is 8 to 4 though.
John also set up a Facebook page for himself, so that's also another means to contact him.
Absolutely. I did that. I have multiple organizations that I'm a part of.
Exactly.
You know, the Lincoln County Emergency Management, the Wellston Chamber. A new one that I'm actually just kind of started getting involved with is the Lincoln County Partnership for Child Wellbeing. It is a multi-agency collaborative to focus on health and well-being of children in our public schools. So I'm just getting kind of involved in that. I'm really excited about the topic of that, and being able to get in and offer assistance and resources to children that might need some help that they wouldn't get outside of the school system. So I might have more information on that next time.
That sounds great. Okay, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.